Hi, my name is Katrina Brittingham, the career coach and certified professional resume writer with Venture Ready LLC. I'm here with another installment with you, and I wanted to discuss diversity in the workplace. Diversity in the workplace is just a fact of the matter. We're becoming a smaller global market, meaning a smaller world. You can Skype now in business and be across the world talking to someone regarding a business matter. With this being said, you'll have teams of diverse individuals from all cultural backgrounds, religion, race, socioeconomic, class, etc. So, in order to do this and to work effectively and to be productive in the workplace, I'm coming to just give you a few tips on what to do and what not to do. Let's start with what not to do. Don't assume that just because someone is from a certain social background or of a certain race that they are inherently good, that they're inherently ethical, that they are inherently honest. And don't also assume because someone is from, a what is considered a lower class or a urban area that they're a criminal, that they've come from a background where their parents were not as learned, or that they came from a background where their parents were on drugs or a certain class of person, or that their parents were dishonest, or that they would, not be honest with you. Just because someone is from a religious background that you're used to dealing with, it doesn't mean that they're honest, doesn't mean that they're, a good person to deal with. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad person to deal with. The best way to deal with diversity in the workplace and dealing with the person is dealing with that individual. Let them show you what their character is and deal with their character accordingly. I've learned that when you have preconceived notions and perceptions in the workplace, it makes for an uncomfortable environment for yourself and for that individual. That person knows that you're judging them. That person knows that you're stereotyping them. That person will know that you see them in a certain way, specifically because you have a judgment about them as a person. Oh, because I'm a woman, then that means that I may not be as smart or as good with math or working things out. I've run into that in the workplace because I am an African American. Then, oh, my mother or father must not have been married, or, I came from a broken home, or, my parents must have been, really, really poor, where that is not the case. I actually came from a pretty um, good part of the city where people, made a little bit more than certain areas. I've come against that in the workplace. And, it's not that I can't relate or know what it's like to be in a struggle, but it also, people who are more affluent have gone through tough times, have gone through times where they thought they were going to lose their home. So, just because, someone is of a different race or culture doesn't mean that they can't relate to you where you are. It doesn't mean that they're a good person. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. What I would say is also when you're on a job to get around, having a stereotypical view is to stay away from cliques, stay away from, that group of people. I like to deal with it like when you were in high school, you had the populars, you had, the ones that maybe wasn't as popular, the ones that was seen as the geeks or the audio visual squad, or, the cheerleaders. You had, the jocks and things like that. Well, you have those things still in the workplace. You have those people who are into sports, and all they'll talk about is, sports, when they get around a certain group of people, or they'll talk about their fantasy football league. You'll have the people who will talk about computers and the different social media sites that they were on, or fixing a computer or coding and things like that. You have people who naturally draw to certain people because of their looks, because of the way they speak, because of the way they carry themselves. And you'll see these cliques and these groups even form on the job. What I would say is stay away from being a part of the clique. You can interact with the clique, but avoid being a part of that clique on the job. Because, well, the thing about it is you have to work with these people because they're your coworkers. But if you stay away from the cliques, you'll stay away from the issues that arise with the clique. Because sometimes you get that bully mentality and that gang mentality even on the job. Well, you'll have some people or one person who doesn't like a certain person on the job. And then now they're going and they're talking to you about, oh, I don't like Susie because look at how she acts. And then now your perception of Susie is different than it would have been if you had not spoken to that person about Susie. And the perception may or may not be true. So you just really have to be careful with that kind of mentality on a job. You also want to keep your distance from political conversations. If you're a Democrat and you're know that someone down the street, down the cubicle is not a Democrat, they're pro Trump and everything like that. You don't want to really get into a political conversation with that person. Or even if you don't know what their political background is, it's just safer to stay away from political conversations. It's better to stay away from religious conversations. Not saying, if a holiday comes up, oh, happy Christmas or Merry Christmas or Feliz Navidad or whatever, what are you getting your kid for Christmas? Something like that. But to really go into depth with a religious conversation should pretty much be frowned upon on the job, and you should kind of stay away from it. That being said, you want to stay away from judging someone because of their religious background. You'll have people who will be in their hijab, on the job. They will be in their religious garb on the job. So you don't want to assume anything. You don't want to make them be uncomfortable. You don't want to, act like you're scared of them, like they're about to bomb the job, because that's not the case. In these scenarios, they're there to make a living. They're there to make sure that they can have a roof over their heads and provide for their children. So you want to make sure that you are sensitive to that effect, that we're all here because we need to be here. We're here because we want to be here because this is our dream job, but we're here. Everyone gets a job for the simple fact of you need income to pay for your home, to pay for your car, to pay for your children's education, to put food on the table. If we did not have to do these things, we wouldn't, dream career or not. So it is what it is at the end of the day. What you would do to promote and to be effective in diversity in the workplace is by getting to know that person. You're on a team. There's a reason why you're on a team. That person has strengths that you don't have. Learn what their strengths are. Celebrate those strengths. Talk to them about how they can assist you with getting things done, or how you can assist them with getting things done on the job. You can cultivate different ideas because people think differently. Women think different than men. Whatever on the job. So having those differences in thoughts and opinions actually make for a very robust team and thought leaders on your team. And you can be very successful by having that. You can have someone come from a viewpoint that you've never come before with trying to gain customers and certain types of customers. So when you're dealing with diversity in the workplace, if you are careful to avoid sensitive topics and sensitive things and not using your stereotypes or the stereotypes that you see from the news and things like that, because a lot of those stereotypes are fabricated and propaganda. If you stay away from that, if you stay away from the cliques, if you stay away from the gossip, it is easy for you to get along well in a diverse company. If you have any other questions or concerns regarding this topic, you can give me a call at 888-712-4956, or you can email me at info@ventureready.net. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you during the next installment.